Good evening. Welcome back. You have to excuse me, I'm a little tired, had a hard day at work. But today I ran across an old article from the Daily News. The columnist's name is Green, and he couldn't understand how a company like the NFL was able to make what he thought was these arbitrary rules as to who is a patriot and who is not a patriot. You know, when all the players was kneeling during the national anthem, and they came up with this rule that everybody was going to stand, and if you didn't stand, you was going to get fined, and if you're in the locker room, you know, you sit in the locker room if you're that offended. And he was like, how can this even happen, you know, if we have a so-called First Amendment speech in place by the Constitution? But what he failed to realize is that, and this is what I learned today, with something else that I'm dealing with on YouTube, with like restricted videos, as far as many others as well. With the NFL being a private company, they have the right to do that. It's like the NFL players signed up and said, hey, I'm playing to your team, I'm playing for your team, I'm signing this contract, so basically you're going to adhere to the rules that's in place by this private organization. You know, whether it be Cowboys, Patriots, you know, Redskins, or whatever team you're going to play for. Now, on the opposite side, YouTube, for example, I was reading a lawsuit with Prager University, how they lost their lawsuit, you know, back in 2017 or 2018 against YouTube. You know, they were saying their First Amendment right was being violated. You know, they had over 50 restricted videos. And the judge, I guess it was a federal lawsuit, and the judge had kicked their case out of court. And this is what the judge basically said. As a private company, Google has no obligation to equally apply its services, or in this case, its ostensible penalties. So, like for me, being a new YouTube creator, when you're not being told what you're doing to get restricted videos, or you just straight out getting a punishment, no sharing, no comments allowed on the video, no monetization in place, you know, so basically nobody can see your videos. It's just there. You're gonna be on unless somebody subscribe to you and they have access to all your videos by being a subscriber. So I'm basically, as I saw it, you know, getting a punishment without being told why I'm being punished. I just get a generic statement, YouTube community, when in both instances, I guess the YouTube community was YouTube employees, because nobody had viewed my video at the time. But now it all makes sense, because although this company is operating in a public domain, it's still a privately owned company, and we all signed up, you know, on YouTube to publish videos, although they say free speech, but it's up to them to decide what they're gonna allow and what they're not going to allow. And if we don't like it, then either we could go somewhere else or do something totally different. Something else was interesting. I guess PragerU still feel like they have a chance, so they filed another lawsuit in January. The judge told them like they really didn't have an argument on the federal side, but maybe they can file a lawsuit on the state side. So they filed another lawsuit in January. And then with this one, they said that PragerU argues that YouTube is violating California's Constitution, guarantee of free speech, violating state laws against religious discrimination, political bias, against unlawful, misleading, and unfair businesses practices and committing breach of contract. So I'm going to be watching this and see how far they get with this, because like I said, you have the choice to either abide by their rules, no matter how much you think is not fair, or like I said, you can go elsewhere, or else somebody need to come up with another solution and make something that's a competition to YouTube. Maybe we are the people too, you know, where we can freely voice our opinion to the public. Well, that's basically what I had to say in regards to that, you know. Oh yeah, this one thing, like I didn't really understand why my last 2 videos kept being restricted, and then they had this explanation right here. It said the criteria for types of content to be blocked under restricted mode: drugs and alcohol, sexual situations, violence, mature subjects, profane and mature language, incendiary and demeaning content. Some observers consider these criteria fairly vague and susceptible to subjectivity, and as a result prone to unequal implementation. Well, we already seen the unequal implementation. So I have, let me see, I don't have no violence, no sexual situations, which is kind of weird because all I'm doing is reading statements from a book. These aren't my statements. These are statements that was written in the book. And I feel like if they would tell me what they don't agree with, then maybe I can do something better. But since they're not telling me, they're just simply punishing me, then that's the frustrating part of this whole situation for me. Like I said, I'm a new YouTuber, and I really don't know what it is that they don't like about my video, because I'm not doing any like sexual situations, violence, drugs or alcohol. Like I've seen several videos on YouTube that was of sexual content. I've seen no viewer discretion. Like any child could click on these videos and see like 2 homosexuals having sex and like all this different stuff that you would think that YouTube would block. But none of these things are being blocked. Like kids have access to all this demoralizing videos that's on YouTube. So I don't know. You know, my thing is, like I said, I don't expect justice or equity in a fallen world. It's just that those of us that are sojourners here, we have to try to deal with all these injustices, but the hope and the happiness that we still have in our heart is through Jesus Christ, because we know that we are only here temporarily and we're looking for a better place. And in that new place, you know, that's where justice and equity and love will reside for everybody. So that's all I had to say today. Just something that I learned out of this frustrating situation by what I stumbled across today with PragerU and what this guy had to say in regards to the NFL, that kind of dealt with my situation, because I wasn't looking at YouTube as a private company. So that's why it was so frustrating to me that they kept saying we believe in free speech, you know, but it's according to their interpretation of what free speech is. You know, if they don't like your free speech, then it's going to get restricted, basically. And the part that I was having a hard time dealing with is not realizing that YouTube is a private company. You know, Google is a private company, and we voluntarily signed up to be on YouTube. So I guess I'm gonna be doing things maybe a little bit differently now, until something else better comes along. Okay guys, I'm not gonna keep you too long. Thank you for listening to me ramble today. I didn't want to make this video too long. Just wanted to share what I kind of discovered and put together today. And that's it, and see you next time.